All yours, John.
All right. Well, thanks for coming again. So glad to have you all. My name is John. I'm Vicar John Vawar, pastor in training under the LCMS, and just excited to be here. My background, just really quickly, I have a long background in history in ministry. I actually came from a non-denominational background, and I've pastored and led in other settings before, but I'm new to the LCMS. You know I look young, but I'm actually 45 years old. And Wellington, I know, young, comfortably, right? Pastor Wellington Morris is actually my oldest brother. We have the same mother, so he's my oldest brother. He's the first of all of us, and he's been in the U.S. now a little bit over 2 years. Yeah, over 2 years. From Liberia. We're both from Liberia. I've been here over 26 years, you could probably tell. So much longer. He just immigrated to the U.S. not too long ago. And he's becoming an LCMS pastor through colloquy. Yeah, so he's on his final leg of the colloquy process.
From what?
You want to tell a little bit about, yeah. Yeah. So Wellington.
Here, with the interview here, but I don't know how it's going to be in Missouri.
We'll pray over here. Enough said.
Yeah.
Would you like to share anything?
Yeah, so he's awaiting his interview in St. Louis. So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, so you might want to talk to Stan after, kind of take you through the, yeah. So our history here, just to give you a little bit, when I came to the LCMS in 2017, we actually planted a church called Mosaic Church in Keller. It was an independent plant that I was leading. Wellington was still visiting at the time, coming back and forth. And I invited him to be a pastor, even though he was still just visiting. And I mean, it was great for a short while. And if you know anything, when you're independent, there are a lot of challenges, you know. And of course, it didn't take long to run into some of those challenges. In fact, our first place of worship was at Light of the World in Keller with Greg Butel. So he was the first one who gave us a place to worship. This is before I even knew what LCMS was. And I always tell him, I said, you didn't tell me. you kept it a secret, right? But not too long after I met Dr. Johannes Menkstep, who's the MMF for Area B, and he invited me. He had a big smile on his face. He said, you need to come on home to the LCMS, right? And he invited me to Peace Lutheran Church because he had an office there. At the time, Jim Mueller was the pastor there. And Jim was very gracious, invited us as a congregation, as a group, give us space because Peace has all this space. And we started worshiping there. And not too long after, I was approached again by the district, and they said, you need to think about, just consider so they took me through the catechism a little bit, and well, incidentally, we come from a Lutheran background because our mother grew up in the Lutheran church. Because the Lutheran missionaries, when they went to Africa, they went way deep in the villages and they were translating, and doing mission work. And that's how our mother was introduced to the Lutheran church. So when she got married to my dad was Methodist, so when you get married, you go to the husband's church. I guess is the tradition. But when she really got in trouble, she's like, I'm going to find my bishop, so in Liberia. So we were between the Lutheran church and the Methodist church. We went to Methodist, we started out at Lutheran schools, right? Wellington, and then later on ended up at Methodist school for junior high and all the way through high school. I was in a Methodist school, Wellington as well, all of us really. And, but the Lutheran church was what my mom called home, and so we were very acquainted. I wasn't really, when you're young and you go into church, you're not Yeah, except you go through confirmation and that kind of stuff, but you're not really paying attention, you know. So all the stuff as a pastor or as a vicar that I'm learning now and understand, I'm like, oh, that's why we did that, you know. So very interesting. But long story short, we got to Peace Lutheran Church, and the district said, hey, we want to work with you. We want to help you develop, you know, and LCMS is a good place. Consider it. And it didn't take me too long to realize I was in the right place. And then we became a network. So Mosaic Mission, Mosaic Plant became Mosaic Mission Network, because the idea was there was a lot of development happening in Area B in the DFW Metroplex with reaching ethnic immigrants and, you know, just a multi-ethnic movement that was developing. And they say, hey, you know, you have influence in your community, in the African community, as well as with your background coming. Because I had worked years ago with the Potter's House in Dallas, Bishop T.D. Jakes. I used to be assistant youth pastor there. We had 2,000 youth. So just working that whole South Dallas area, you know, they're like, well, with your background, you know, you could be very effective in helping with some of the mission efforts. And so that's how we became Mosaic Mission Network. And so under the auspices of the Texas district, I've been privileged to meet some of the leaders. Dr. Newman is just a great human being, just really love him. You know, he's very supportive. And so that's where we're at. So as a network, just really quickly, I'm just going to tell you, this is our second plant, because the way we work as a network is to work with established congregations to launch what we call multicultural, multi-ethnic worship service. And there's one or two ways we can do it, which is what I want to tell you about here. So Mosaic Mission Network, really our objective is to raise resources and release leaders. And as an apostolic church planting network under the auspices of Texas District, with an objective to plant 10 new multi-ethnic, multicultural congregations by target year 2031. Because the district has this 2031 target of raising up 500 new missions and multi-ethnic congregations by 20. I don't know where 2031 came from. That's the target. So we kind of locked on to that and say, hey, maybe we can do 10 of those. Why not? All right. Let's see. So we're working, we can say on our second right now. We raise resources and release leaders who are committed to developing multi-ethnic faith communities. That kind of stuff. We've had rich families, right? And then, so that's just really the objectives there. And I have a document I'll share with you all, so I don't have to, you know, kind of bore you with all of this. But the one I want to lock in on is we expose leaders to opportunities for leadership development, coaching, mentoring, and equipping, including former seminary education. So right now I'm in the EIT program. There's some of our leaders we're looking at to be part of the SMP. Wellington is going through colloquy because he is way further along than all of us. He was actually teaching at the Baptist Seminary in Liberia. So pretty deep background there. Work with leaders to clarify their objectives, strengthen personal leadership, solidify their organizational structure, and that kind of stuff. Surrounding all of that is community engagement, life enrichment, people empowerment. How we work in keeping with our mission to raise resource. The thing I want to focus on is we play a crucial role as a missional catalyst between mission developer and existing ministry partners. So that will be congregations. So for example, Wellington will be considered a mission developer or one of our missionaries. My job as a network leader of Mosaic is to help him in this environment to develop, to work with the ministry here to thrive. And then if we do get to the point where we're able to develop a multi-ethnic congregation or a plant that he's going to be leading, you know, hopefully maybe this congregation can say, maybe we want to call him as an associate, you know, or we just want to support him in that plant, you know. So my goal is to work with him to develop all of that, to build the relationships, you know, to make sure stewardship kind of things are in place, right? And of course, so the, you know, host congregation, So this will be a host congregation. Any LCMS congregation that's interested in working with us can become a host congregation. And so what we call, for example, Christ Lutheran Church is our missional site, right? And this is from here, we're able to reach this community. Okay, we're able to reach this community through various programs that I'm going to tell you about. But ultimately, the goal is word and sacrament ministry. Because when you're just reaching out to the community with social programs, then you're just a social agency, right? If it's not grounded in word and sacrament ministry, it's not true gospel outreach. It really isn't. You know, because anybody can do social ministry, right? Unless you're grounded in word and sacrament ministry, you know, we're not fulfilling the Great Commission as the church. So that's what that is about. And this just tells you a little bit about, like I said earlier, my responsibility as a mission. Examples of Mosaic supported activities, expert support from Mosaic specific partners and staff, ASAP program modeling, and I'll tell you what ASAP is in a moment, gathering events, John visited us here. Was it?
For the backpacks.
Yeah, the backpack giveaway. We did a huge community drive. We had the food truck, we had the game truck, the petting zoo. It's just an outreach to the community. And the whole idea as the community came out, we gave away backpacks. We wanted to engage them, wanted to meet them, and we wanted to invite them to church. Ultimately, we wanted, we love you, but like I said, the push is word inside. We want to get people in the ministry so those needs can be met spiritually, right? And so those are the kinds of things we help with as a mission. And then we have this huge initiative we call ASAP Kids. That's our after school program. We ran ASAP Kids at the 500, it's an apartment outreach program. We ran it at the 500 Flats apartment community off of 820 in Fort Worth. And then the pandemic kind of shut us down because we're in already close quarter with kids, with young kids and all of that. We just couldn't, with all of the rules and the Tarrant County and all of that, we had to make some adjustments. So when we made the move here, our idea was, man, this place is perfect. We can centralize the after school program instead of doing it in, because the whole idea was we want to be incarnational. So we want to be in the apartment community and offering after school program for the kids in that community as an outreach to those families, and then eventually we can convert, that and get some of them to experience word and sacrament ministry. But then we realized, man, we'll have to be in so many places, and just staffing that, the staffing challenges and all of that. So we said, well, if we could be in a community where because around Christ Lutheran Church, there's about 8 low-income apartment complexes surrounding this community. How about we centralize that after-school program? We have the space. You saw it, we centralize that. We can reach this community. We can minister to this community. And that could be a tool, an outreach tool, as we build word and sacrament ministry as well. Okay?
What does that look like?
ASAP.
Yeah, you gathering kids here.
Yeah.
What is it that you're doing with them? What is it that you're providing for them?
So it's after school tutoring.
Okay.
Is really what it's grounded in. So we're helping with homework. My wife, who is an advocate, is a child advocate and human trafficking survivor and all of that. Okay. She's written a book about it. So what we do, we provide the 4 pillars: safety, nutrition, scholarship, and recreation. Okay? So we wanted to be in a safe environment after school, because you heard about the latchkey, so where kids just go home and they're like 8 or 9 years old, they have the key, they're in the apartment and they're babysitting. It's like, come on. And so there's so much they can get into after school in the apartment complex, and in the community. So we want to have an opportunity for them to come here and be in a safe environment. We have the security cameras, the whole 9. We're following the state guidelines and all of that. So safety, nutrition. We want to make sure when they come to get hot meals, okay? Because a lot of kids stay hungry until dinner time. Other than the school, some of them, other than the food they get in school, that's it. I'm sure you've heard the statistics. So we want to provide hot meals. And then, what was the other 2 things I said? Scholarship. Want to make sure that they're doing their homework. that there are people here to help tutor them, help them understand math and science and that kind of stuff. And so we have the volunteer base because of the congregation, and we have the space.
Right.
You get what I mean? And so the program not necessarily going to be free. When we first did it, it was free because sometimes we realize if you don't attach an incentive, people don't take it. Right. It becomes charity. It becomes toxic charity, right? So we want to attach some sort of incentive, so people can feel like, hey, I'm getting something that I'm, and I'm vested in it. Yeah.
That investment, dollars or volunteer time?
Exactly. Both. Exactly. So yeah. So that's the plan. That's the strategy. And so that's what ASAP Kids is about. And it's called After School Achievement Program, And there's some things we can base it around sports. We have the gym, basketball, different things, right? And then, of course, I told you about ASAP 2.0 is really having a center, centralizing ASAP Kids. That's what 2.0 is all about, right? And here's our team. So like I said, my wife is child advocate, public relations. So Bo is the president of our board, Bo Jacobson. His family are longtime members at Peace Lutheran Church. His grandfather actually was one of the founding members there. So he's third generation, and he's just a great guy. We love Bo. He got married about a year and a half ago. I lost him for almost 6 months to 8 months after he got married. He's coming back now. But so he's the president of our board. Just some testimonies. Pastor Sammy Roberts. So when we left Peace Lutheran Church and made the move here, I left Pastor Sammy at Peace. So he has actually a Liberian congregation there at Peace Lutheran Church that he pastors, predominantly Liberian and other families. And he's part of our network. These are some of our team members. One of the pastors that we're looking to bring in and mentoring and all of that. Donovan actually has a master's degree from Liberty University in Christian ministries and whatnot. So we're thinking either SMP or colloquy. So we're trying to gauge what would be a good option for him. That's where it's at. This just tells you, our board of directors and that kind of stuff. Some names. Of course, Wellington is on there, you see. And so, that's me getting installed at Peace. That's Pastor Hildebrand, installing me as a vicar at Peace Lutheran Church. But I transferred my vicarage here, and then Travis left. So now I need a vicarage supervisor. There we go. So I need a supervisor big time. John has been providing some mentorship, John has been supervising us in a way. We know his plate is full, but we've been leaning on him pretty hard. And so supervision, John helps with that, but I need a mentor, really, vicarage mentor. So that's us. That's Mosaic. And so, as you know, once we got here, of course, we got here to do this. This is why we're here. But once we got here, Pastor Travis took sabbatical. There were just some things that were happening here. And because of our experience within the LCMS, like I said, other places we've been, the congregation felt like, hey, these guys can really help us just to cover the vacancy until we go through so right now the congregation is going through a survey. Pastoral survey, so looking whether to call either an intentional interim or that may not be necessary. It may just transition to where a pastor is called, whatever the case may be. So in the meantime, we're just providing word and sacrament ministry, and I work with the staff too on a day-to-day basis just to make sure things are in order and happening and all of that. Great staff, great people here. Liz is just a treasure. Yeah, just a treasure. So that is it. Thanks, John, for giving me this time. I appreciate it. And it's all yours.
Well, other questions for John that you might have?
What can we do, John?
Thank you. Thanks for asking that question because, And really, you know, where we're at as a network, most of our support right now comes from the district. Okay, so we get some grants and some help from the district, but as you're aware, that's only for, you know, because the way the district works, they don't want you to be dependent, you know. So that's for a very short time, you know, and it's very stringent. There's a lot of scrutiny around, which is great. It's helped me be better, quite frankly, you know. It's kept me on my P's and Q's. But we really want to partner with, you know, local congregations, with you guys. However we can partner, we need your help big time, because ready to, you know, get a lot of this done. One of the things Christ Lutheran Church has done is in the missions budget, they've worked us into it. So for example, Christ and Peace Lutheran Church. So Peace has a 12% missions budget that they divvy up with all these different organizations to help and whatnot. So they give us like 2 or 3% of that, you know, and that's being helpful. That works out to about maybe $1,000, a little bit over a month kind of thing, you know. So it helps me because, you know, I have to pay Wellington. I have to get a salary, and I have to do all these, you know, after school programs and all these different things. So your partnership will be really great if we can partner at that level. And however we can partner with you, not just for you to work us into your mission budget, but how can we work with you, you know, as far as multi-ethnic ministry is concerned and reaching the community. That's our expertise. You know, that's what we love, you know, especially with the demographic change that's happening in a lot of these communities pretty rapidly, right? And so, you know, we want to be that presence. We want to be able to come and see, hey, how can we partner and help? What can we do? You know, some of the other networks we work with, for example, some of you guys probably have worked with them, like Jaime and Pastor Juan. You know, they do things like ESL, you know, just different things that you can do with a local congregation to reach outside of your traditional membership, right? And reach the community kind of thing. However we can help, we'd love to partner. You know, we just want to be a part of that. But we actually need your help more than you probably need us. But we're available, and that's where we're at.
As African ministry?
We don't do Hispanic. So the Hispanic outreach is mainly, like I said, Jaime, Pastor Juan, because the way we set it up, we're all Area B under Dr. Johannes, and he has another person now that works with him. And so the way we did, Juan and them are focusing on a certain area, and then we're focusing on Tarrant County and sort of, yeah, so that's how we kind of, so I think they want us to kind of start looking at Dallas a little bit too, just because of the African-American community, heavier concentration in the South Dallas area. So what's his name? Dallas Willard or something is one of the missionaries we're going to be working with. So some of that stuff is developing. But our focus for now is Tarrant County, you know, Southwest and South Tarrant County, yeah. So that's where it's at, you know. Well, thank you all very much. Thanks for the time. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you're gonna need this microphone, John. So no, I'm just gonna shut it off, and I'll shut off the camera for you here.
I thought we'd do, and then we'll.